Hello everyone, Ron again, and in this video we're going to talk about ostinatos. Action.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
So obviously ostinato is not a word that you hear every day, but an ostinato basically is just something that repeats. Like when I was talking about rhythm and melody in one video, I said I defined a pattern to be a sequence that repeats. I think I said that. I know I wrote it down to say it because I was thinking of like the major scale as a pattern. And the major scale repeats as you go up the keyboard. So, that type of thing. But this could be a pattern just in general. That's what an ostinato is. And it can be an arpeggio. So you could have something like that's an arpeggio and an ostinato because it's an ostinato because it repeats, and it's an arpeggio because it's a chord. C sharp minor inverted, actually. You got C sharp, E, G sharp. So how are ostinatos useful? They're useful because they sort of introduce the song sometimes. Like ostinatos can happen in bass lines and jazz. For example, if you look on the channel in the playlist called My Music, at least that's what it's called for right now, you'll see there's a picture of a hand holding a fruit, which is an apple, with a smaller hand inside it, and that is the cover art for the EP I recently dropped called The Fruits of My Labor. There's a song called Don't Rush Me, and in that song, I used a bass ostinato, and it wasn't like on this instrument, but it went like this. In the same place, there's another song called Call to Arms, and these things are available on Spotify and other streaming services too. And the link will be in the description of this video. When you scroll down, it says all links, and then it has all the links that I have established so far that I connected to YouTube that pertain to my music. Call to Arms goes like... So those are examples of ostinatos that you can hear in my music. And today I thought I would have a change of pace by using Kontakt instead of using FL keys, because Kontakt is just cool. And it's like sampler from Native Instruments. So it's got a bunch of different sounds that you can get for it that are free or paid. I'm using one of my favorite ones called Session Horns. And this one is one that you pay for, but it's well worth the money. Because it sounds awesome, the samples are high quality, and whoever was playing the samples to create it definitely had talent and they knew how to play the instrument, and their dynamics were even. And there's good processing. But anyway, when can an ostinato be useful? Primarily just that. When you want something that's going to repeat and give you a feel, and it can even fall into the background and just create sort of an atmosphere. Not in an atmospheric way though, just that it becomes something that you're used to. Like think about if you walk into a room and you smell perfume and it's really good, and then 5 minutes later you don't smell it, you just became accustomed to it, but it's something good that you're accustomed to. It's kind of like that. So another example, and I'm gonna show you something cool. When you go here in FL Studio, these do change the color of the notes, but they also reference different MIDI inputs. So what that means is if you have a multi-MIDI input plugin, then you can load multiple sounds and change the color of them, and it will play different instruments. So Kontakt does that, for example. So I have session horns loaded, and I also have the grand marimba from Sonic Couture. So here's an example of another famous ostinato. Obviously, that's the theme song from Rugrats. And that is a cool example because it has a whole bunch of other noises that just play around it that are sort of like Foley, which is like sound effects that regular items make, like footsteps and like, mailboxes, opening a letter, that type of stuff. That's what Foley is. But it plays that ostinato throughout the entire song, and you don't really have to think of much more than that from the musical perspective. The rest of it is just creative. So it shows you what an ostinato can be used for. It's like a bass at times. And really, it's just as simple as that. You could use an ostinato to create a feeling, sense of tension. Like, for example, if I wanted to have something that was very tense, I might do this. And this chord is a C diminished seventh chord, which also I didn't talk about yet, but at some point, seventh chords, I wanted to get into talking about melody because people were asking for it. So you would have C, E flat, G flat, A. So if I wanted to create some tension, I might do an ostinato like this. Or this. Keep in mind it's also an arpeggio because it is made from the notes of a chord. But for an example where it's not, if I wanted to have something that sounds scary or is just creepy, I could think back to the video about intervals, scale intervals that I did, and say it's going to be a minor second, so it's going to be one semitone higher. And there's a clash between those two because they're so close and it's very dissonant. So I could do something like this. It might even be better pronounced as the other instrument. So let's see. And there's going to be a lot of tension in a sound that's like that. And it's going to sound creepy and unsettling because it wants to resolve. So that is another example of an ostinato. And that's an example where it's just two notes going back and forth. But it's still an ostinato because that two note sequence just repeats continually. And there's not much more to understand than that. Other than that, it's just application. You would say, like, I want to create this type of feeling. So maybe I'll use like a major chord, and chords and arpeggios are really easy for ostinatos because you have like a template for what you would feel or expect from the notes. Like because it's a major chord, it's going to be consonant and settling. And maybe you use an ostinato like that, which also is an arpeggio because it's made of C major. You might use that in the background of something that you want to be happy or calm, maybe an ambient track. That's what comes to mind for me immediately. Even though this is played on horns and it's like staccato, maybe that would be better for this. So you have. And that's pretty much it. It's something to think about when you're writing music. Ostinatos, to repeat a pattern over and over is not something bad. And actually, since an ostinato is defined as something that repeats throughout the song, the chorus of a song is an ostinato for that reason. That's something I didn't even think about, but it's something I learned while doing some research to make sure that what I was going to explain in this video was correct. And obviously, almost every song has a chorus, right? Or at least most of the ones that we hear have choruses. So, something to think about, and it's a good takeaway. Using ostinato, it repeats. even maybe drum loop, you might consider an ostinato. There's a bunch of different ways to go about it. And I hope that you're blessed by this video and that you gain some new knowledge and you go apply it to your songwriting or musical composition or even singing, maybe, you know. If you wrote a song like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, like the whole song is sort of like an ostinato in a way. But not to belabor the point, I hope that this helps you and I hope that you take it and apply it. And that's all I got for today. Short, sweet, and to the point. And if you made it to the end of the video, I thank you as always for watching. And as usual, have an awesome day. Peace.